What's going on, guys? I'm Akros. Thank you for tuning in, doing something a little bit differently. I'm doing the Stanley Parable for Minecraft. Never done the Stanley Parable before, never played it, so I thought it'd be kind of cool for you guys to check out.
Listen.
Okay, so yeah, this makes me feel real trapped. First adventure map. Alright, so let's do this. Stanley Parable Minecraft Edition. Introduction. Okay. Hello. Thank you for downloading the Stanley Parable. You're welcome. No problem. This map was brought to you by Half Crafted and Dilbert Twirly. I butchered that. I'm sorry. Please take the time to read the rules. No problem. Rules. We don't demand much. We don't demand much of you than to follow a few simple rules, so the game is enjoyable as possible. Okay, rule number 1. Please install and use the provided resource pack, okay, which I have. Included in the download, every sound, okay, proper gameplay of this map, okay. It's a, okay, virtual story, okay, alright. Please do not sprint. Obviously, we cannot force you to, but if you rush the map, you're risking sounds to overlap, and nobody wants that. Take the time to savor the moment. Alright. Please do not try to break the map. The smallest break of a redstone wire can ruin your entire experience. Please don't take the risk. No problem. Do not exit a room you have already entered unless asked for proximity detectors reason. Okay. Do not break any blocks except string. Yeah, string. Being in adventure mode, you can break some blocks such as glass. Oh wait, you can't break some blocks such as glass. We highly recommend you do not break anything but string. Why string? You'll fall out. Oh, you'll find out. Break anything but string. Wait, didn't you just tell me to break string? Except string. What? Okay. Man.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in.
All right, sounds like
an
average dude.
They had been made exactly for this job.
Huh.
And Stanley was happy.
Was he? No, I wouldn't be happy. Just doing the same thing over and over.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow.
Really?
No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked,
I'm locked in my office.
solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
So, I don't even have, well, yeah, I guess I have a desk. Why is my computer over here? Was it a computer? Yeah. Why is my computer over here and not on my desk? And what's up with the flower? Okay. Well, they said not to break anything. Stuff might break up. Whoa! Okay, that's cool.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
I guess. So we go this way, I guess? Well, what's over here? Can I jump over here? Is anything in these dispensers, I wonder? Anything at all? No. I'm totally, like, babbling on, guys. Sorry. Here we go. So we're going in here, and we're going over here. Okay. Alrighty. So just more offices, I guess. More dispensers. What do we do over here? Ooh. This is where they kill their victims. It's an interrogation room. So I guess I'll go this way.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Do I listen to my left, or do I go to my right? And I never followed rules.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
I feel like I'm on, like, the movie Stranger Than Fiction. Is it Stranger Than Fiction? Yeah, Stranger Than Fiction. Yeah. You can't control me.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
There's not even a soda machine. Come on, I can't even pop a cup. Come on. Can I sit on here? No. Okay. So
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
First open door on his left. Nah, let's continue breaking the rules. Let's go. Yeah, no.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
No,
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Well,
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
I've never done what people's
someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Ooh, so it's for a girl. Really? Well, oh. Stanley. Wait, what? No, I didn't say it. Storage. Ooh. Okay. So we can't jump off? I do some like parkour over here? I'm assuming not. Alright, so where do we go from here? Whoa. Whoa. What's this? This is weird. What's happening? Okay. Alright, so walking down the narrow corridor. I feel like we're gonna, okay, come to a switch. Okay.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
What? I guess. Whoa! Okay.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about
your day.
Whoa!
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Yeah.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Wait, whoa. Whoa. Press the at key to continue. Right? Well, that's what it said, right? Open chat. Yeah. No? Wait, how do I do that? Technical difficulties. How do I press the at key without pressing the at key? I'll just click.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow.
Oh.
He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
How did they do that? What? Really? You want me to press it again? I'll press it again.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
Well, I don't know.
Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
So press it again.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Ow, why so harsh?
And so he began to fantasize about his own job.
Am I like suicidal or
First, he
something?
imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even
so
mattered what
weird.
lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby.
Yeah,
and he
okay, I can
called
see
it
that.
the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Perhaps, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'll
But
play
there
it.
is no answer. How
Whoa,
could there possibly
whoa,
be?
Why'd it go dark?
In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
I want out. I don't I don't want to press any more buttons. I'm scared of the dark. I guess I'll press you again.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he
Look at
can
you trying
never
to tell
be
me
anything
anything.
but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself.
Wait,
But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
But well, he told me not to do it, so I'm gonna do it.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he
Don't do what
remains
I'm
here,
told.
he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see
I
what
don't
I
wanna
see?
kill myself,
How can
though.
I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply
wanna
play
get
to
out of
my
chat.
intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him.
No.
I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I...
Oh, what'd I do? Oh, where'd I go? I think I broke it. I pressed something I shouldn't have pressed. Where am I going? I can't see. What'd I do? I broke it. Sorry.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Of course it is. Again, we're going
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly
That's
for
a
this
boring
job.
life. Who wants a boring life
Stanley
like that?
was happy.
No, it wasn't. Oh, it could have been. I don't know. Let's turn down this Minecraft music.
And one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow.
This is like a
No one
really,
showed up
like,
to give him
dank-ass
instructions,
computer,
call a meeting, or even say hi.
Just a hole. Just
Never
hi.
in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete
gonna run out of
isolation.
ideas.
Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses,
What is this? This
he
is like
got up from his desk
I guess
and
a
stepped
filing
out of his
cabinet?
office.
Okay. Alright.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers.
I guess.
He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
So I guess since we're playing this through again, because we're trying to get different endings, I guess we'll try to listen to him then, even though I don't like to. Alright. So.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alright. We'll go to the left.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
That's really dark over there. Alright.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yeah, no. See you later, homie. I'm out! There's obviously the zombie apocalypse outside, and I don't want to be here. Oh. Let's see. Me being a Minecrafter, don't like bedrock, but oh well, let's go.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
That's a good
And for that matter,
suggestion.
these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
Why don't
Were they
we see our
simply
feet when we look
repeating?
down?
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it.
Wait,
I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
could be.
Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Whoa. Whoa.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Like, what are you doing?
And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself?
Like,
Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please.
Why?
It's all I want.
Pushing, buddy.
I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
There's nothing about you that's normal.
I am okay.
Oh, it's so creepy. He just gives me the willies.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Whoa. Okay.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Wait, what?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Okay.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Zombie apocalypse,
told you. She would soon turn to go call for an ambulance. For just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Oh, she... Okay. So you turned and ran. Anything else? What's going on? Me. I can see my arm.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Okay.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee
this is
number
like not a parable, it's a paradox.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order.
Yep.
This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in,
I mean,
as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
I don't think he was happy. Can you hurry up and let me out of here so I can, like,
And then
disobey you?
one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley.
Alright.
Something he would never quite forget.
BS, I've done this before, so let's
for
go.
nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow.
Yeah, of course
No
not.
one
There's
had
not a
showed up
monitor
to give
here.
him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Yeah, you're terrifying me. Let's get out of here before we get, like, imprisoned. Like we already are. You already killed me once.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yep, going.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Going through here.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his staircase. Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
That's what he talked about. Sorry about that, guys. So we're going upstairs. All right, so we'll trek lightly this time. All right, so. Oh. No. Can't use this. This is the first one I've seen with lever. Nothing. Okay. Man, these computers.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
You just told me.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Newly opened passageway? Where? Well, oh, okay. So it's like, this is like my boss's hidden, like, stash. Like, this is where he keeps all of his, you know, like, sugarcane and stuff.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Okay. This way, I guess. Alright. Whoa, this is sick looking. Okay, I guess turn on the light.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
They're harboring unicorns. I called it.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
So you're behind the trees trying to kill me. Okay, so what do I do over here? Do I press the button?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Okay. 5-0. Well, how do I do that? I just click the button? Or just click the big red thing? There's 5. What's this? This is on to sprint, but I mean, I might have to sprint. What is this? 2 motions. 3. Oh, so do I have to hit those in order? So do I go to 1, 2, 3. Alright. And this over here is 4. So, oh wait, no, this one's 0. Or, I mean, are we missing 4? Oh, 4. So do I go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? I mean, it can't be that simple, can it? No. Alright, so what are these? Alright, so it has to be a code somewhere. I'm missing something. What's over here? On, off. Off. Whoa, God, you scared me. Okay. Was it easy as just turning off the off switch? There was no secret panel or nothing?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
Whoa.
Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine.
Awesome.
Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Yeah. Can I... Oh, wait. No. Oh, no. I probably could have hopped over that.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Yep. Okay. Whoa. Shouldn't have done that. Okay. Yep. Yeah, but I'm in adventure mode, so I can't. Oh. Yeah, yay! I think I'm gonna wind that down here, guys. There's multiple endings to this from what I've read up on. If this is something that you guys enjoy, give it a thumbs up. And like I said, you're new, subscribe. Thank you so much. Everything means the world to me. I just started this up, and this is something that I would love to be able to do for you guys. Thank you so much for my subscribers and choosing to ascend with me. Ascendants, stay on the rise.